Hello viewers and welcome to the final part of our Rajasthan series. We end this journey at the heart and soul of Rajasthan, the majestic Chittorgarh Fort, one of the largest forts in Asia and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Chittorgarh was once the proud capital of Mewar, sprawling across 700 acres and rising 180 meters high. High on the Aravalli Hills stands Chittorgarh, a fortress of stone, but more than that, a fortress of spirit. Here, the Rajputs raised their crimson flag, a symbol of honor and defiance. The Vijay Stamb, the Tower of Victory, rose proudly to the sky, telling the world of Mewar's glory. But glory was tested. In 1303, Alauddin Khilji's army laid siege to these walls. Legends tell of Queen Padmini's sacrifice and the flames of Johor that rose as women chose honor over surrender. From the gates, Rajput warriors charged with fury, swords flashing and hearts unyielding. Again in 1567, the Mughals came. Arrows darkened the sky, battering rams struck the gates, and the fort trembled. Yet the Rajputs fought to the last breath, their courage echoing through time. And though the battles ended in fire and blood, Chittorgarh today, its towers and ramparts still rise against the horizon, crowned with the tricolor of India, a living reminder that valor never dies and sacrifice is never forgotten. The entry point to the fort is through the Rampo, and we will begin the journey within the fort, starting at the Kumbh Palace. Right in front of us that we see here is the sun balcony in which the Suryavamsi Raja used to sit down with his family to pray to the sun god during sunrise every day. After prayer, the family members used to eat and start their day. During monsoon or winter seasons, the sun was not always visible, and due to this, the kings used to pray to an idol of the sun, which was shifted from Chittorgarh Fort to the city palace in Udaipur. The last king of Chittorgarh Fort was Uday Singh Ji, who was the father of Rana Pratap Ji. However, Maharana Pratap Ji never ruled in Chittorgarh. He lived in this fort as a child, but his father brought him up in the forest, which is now known as the city of Udaipur, named after Uday Singh Ji. The tower we can see here is where the Shahi drums were played. It was said that the drums were so loud that the sound of the drums were heard over 10 kilometers from the fort, letting people know that the prayer of Lord Surya was being performed in Mewar. During the prayer of Lord Surya, the area you see here was used to perform the prayers to 7 horses, as a means to honor the horses for their service to the kings. What you see here is a tunnel that goes to a lake where the Ranis or queens used to walk through the tunnel for 1.5 kilometers to the lake to take a bath and then pray to Lord Shiva at the temple, and then they used to come back to the Kumbh Palace. This system was there back then due to the fact that women had a system of privacy and so that they were not seen by other men with bad intention. Viewers, just as Jaipur is called the Pink City and Udaipur the Lake City, Chittorgarh too has 4 symbolic names. The first is Shakti, meaning power. The Rajput kings of Mewar chose death over surrender. The second is Bhakti or devotion, linked to the legendary Saint Queen Mirabai, a devotee of Lord Krishna, married into the Rajput royal family. The third name is Tyag, or renunciation, reflected in the Johor when women chose self-immolation to protect their honor from invaders. And the fourth is Balidan, meaning sacrifice. The greatest example is Pannadai, the nurse who sacrificed her own son to save Prince Uday Singh. Viewers, what you see on the left-hand side used to be the residence and rooms for the Prince of Chittor, and on the right-hand side, these buildings used to be the living quarters for the kings and queens. After the Kumbh Palace, we visited the ancient 10th century Satis Diori Jain temple inside the Chittorgarh Fort. In this temple, visitors can admire the great architectural beauty of the temple. Rajasthan was struck by the Svetambara cult in the 8th century. Although Rajasthan did not have any Jain ruler, encouragement received from the Rajputs paved way for growth of Jainism here. Inscriptions found in Mathura have a mention of Maji Mila, which points to Madhyamika, which is another name for Chittorgarh, as a center of Jain religion. The Satis Diori temple, situated within the Chittorgarh Fort, close to Fateh Prakash Palace, is a collection of 27 temples devoted to the Jain Tirthankaras. Let's travel back in time to the 11th century, when Rajasthan experienced the flourishing Jain community. Entering its hallowed grounds is the beginning of an eternal journey through myths, eye-catching architecture, and the echoes of bygone centuries. According to legend, the Satis Diori temple, often referred to as the Satvish Diori temple, the Satis Diori temple is a remarkable tribute to the architectural genius and commitment of the era. Even though time has taken its toll and only the main structure remains, the architecture of the Satis Diori temple is an intriguing fusion of Jain and Maru Gurjara forms. According to history, one of the Pandava brothers from the Hindu epic Mahabharata, Bhima, the renowned warrior, constructed the Satis Diori temple, which is devoted to Lord Shiva. Rising proudly within the vast Chittorgarh Fort, the Kumbhaswamin temple stands as both a survivor and a storyteller. First built in the 8th century by Baba Raval, it was dedicated to Lord Varaha, the boar incarnation of Vishnu, who lifted the earth from cosmic waters. Centuries later, the temple suffered under the destruction wrought by Alauddin Khilji, but like the fort itself, it refused to fade into silence. In the 15th century, Maharana Kumbha restored its glory, adorning it with new life and placing the idols of Radha and Krishna within its sanctum. Set high on a plinth, the temple reveals its grandeur step by step. Its sanctum, original and bold, rises with sculpted podiums and niches. A mandapa, roofed like a pyramid and supported by 20 pillars, draws visitors inward. Above, the Shikhar towers skyward, a symbol of resilience and devotion. At the entrance, the image of Garuda stands under a canopy of 4 pillars, as it's guarding the temple's spirit. The temple's design itself whispers across lands, the front echoing Gujarat's Somnath temple and the back mirroring Odisha's Jagannath temple, uniting traditions from distant regions into one sacred form. But the story does not end with stone. On the temple's southern side rests the smaller yet deeply significant Mirabai temple. Here, history softens into legend and devotion takes the shape of poetry. Mirabai, the 16th century princess of Mewar, was born into splendor yet lived for only one love, Lord Krishna. To her, he was not distant divinity, but her eternal bridegroom. Trials shadowed her life, the loss of her husband and father-in-law, and the harsh suspicions of her royal family. Yet miracles seemed to guard her path. Poison turned to nectar, a serpent revealed itself as Krishna. Renouncing the palace, she chose the life of a saint and did not conduct the act of self-immolation, like other Rajput queens. Rather, she sang bhajans that still echo through the corridors of faith. Her temple carries her voice in stone carvings, dancing, singing, surrendering to divine love. And right outside the temple lies the feet of Mirabai's guru, Sant Ravidas. During Janmashtami, Holi, Diwali, and the Meera Mahotsav, the shrine blooms with colors and music. Even in quiet moments, it offers what Meera herself sought, a place where restless souls find stillness. Together, the Kumbhaswamin and Mirabai temples tell a tale of strength and surrender, of kings who built and saints who believed. Within their stones lie centuries of devotion, resilience, and love, where every step is not just a walk through history, but a journey deeper into the spirit. From this point onwards in the video, we will be able to see four main points of interest which are an important aspect of the fort and to the history of Mewar. The first point is the Victory Tower, also known as the Vijay Stamp. From the name of Vijay, one can tell that this tower was constructed by a warrior and great king. Maharana Kumbha, in my view, was a great architect, warrior, and a true king who ruled the longest in Mewar with a record 35 years. And during his rule, he constructed 32 forts out of the 84 in the Mewar kingdom, with Chittorgarh Fort being one of the most notable of them. Viewers, please check out the Chittorgarh video on this channel for more details. The Chittorgarh Fort, stretching over 36 kilometers in length, is the longest fort wall after the Great Wall of China. Maharana Kumbha's rule from 1433 to 1468 was marked by significant battles and the defense of Mewar against various invasions by Mughals. 6 centuries ago, in the rugged heart of Rajasthan, a tower rose that would forever embody the spirit of courage and triumph. This was the Vijay Stamp, the Tower of Victory, built within the walls of Chittorgarh Fort. More than just stone and mortar, it became a proud emblem of India's warrior past. In the 15th century, King Rana Kumbha achieved a decisive victory over the combined forces of Muhammad Khilji of Malwa and Qutbuddin Shah of Gujarat. To mark this triumph, he chose not to carve his name into mere records, but into the very skyline of Chittorgarh. The Vijay Stamp, rising 122 feet, consisting of 9 floors and 157 steps to get to the top of the tower. It was his way of immortalizing both the victory and the Rajput spirit of bravery, resilience, and devotion to their land. It took 10 years to completely build the tower, starting in 1448 and completion in 1458. The cost to construct the Vijay Stamp back in those days equated to 9 lakh rupees. The tower is a masterpiece of Rajput and Hindu architecture, built from sandstone and marble through an interlocking system. Its 9 stories climbed like steps from earth to the heavens, each adorned with intricate carvings, scenes from the Ramayana and Mahabharata, deities, and tales of valor, but visitors can see more carvings of Lord Vishnu. Hence, Vijay Stamp was also known as Vishnu Stamp, as Maharana Kumbha dedicated the tower to Lord Vishnu. For visitors who ascend the tower's spiral stairs, every level reveals not just new views of Chittorgarh, but also a symbolic journey from the mortal realm toward the divine. Centuries have passed, empires have fallen, kingdoms have faded, and the invaders have come and gone. Yet, the Vijay Stamp still stands, weathered but unbroken, a sentinel of history. It is more than a monument. It is a living tribute to Rana Kumbha and to all Rajput warriors whose courage shaped the destiny of Rajasthan. Today, as it towers above the fort, the Vijay Stamp continues to inspire awe. It reminds the world that courage can be carved into stone, that victories can echo across centuries, and that the human spirit, like this tower, can rise above every trial. Most importantly, the Vijay Stamp is the pride of Rajasthan. The second most important historic site of Chittorgarh is the place of Johar, the act of mass self-immolation performed by Rajput women and children in times of siege. What you see today as a peaceful garden was once a 50-foot deep crater, deliberately created by the Rajputs as early as the 5th century. It was filled with sandalwood, dry wood, and oil, a fire pit prepared for the unthinkable moment when the fort might fall. For centuries, it remained unused, as the Rajputs had never lost a battle before. That changed in 1303 when Alauddin Khilji brought his forces to Chittorgarh. On that day, from this very ledge, Rani Padmini led the first Johar. One by one, she and 16,000 women and children leapt into the roaring flames. They chose death over capture, dignity over dishonor. When Alauddin entered the fort and found no women to seize, his anger burned. He ordered every temple and palace in Chittor destroyed, leaving nothing untouched. The second Johar came more than 2 centuries later in 1535, when Bahadur Shah of Gujarat attacked the fort. Rani Karnavati, the widow of Rana Sanga and the grandmother of Rana Kumbha, led the women. Dressed in bridal red, she and 13,000 women and their children walked through the Johar gate, offered prayers at the Kuldevi temple, and stepped into the fire. The third and final Johar occurred in 1568 under the siege of the Mughal Emperor Akbar. Rana Uday Singh had already moved his family to Udaipur, leaving the fort in the command of Jaimal Rathur and Patta, 2 legendary warriors. With only 10,000 Rajput soldiers, they stood against an army of more than 40,000 Mughals. Even after Jaimal and Patta were struck down, legends say their severed bodies continued to fight with their sword for nearly 15 minutes before falling. But bravery could not change the tide. When defeat was certain, the queens once again gave the command. 7,000 women and children walked the same path, through the gate, into the temple, then to the fire. In all, nearly 36,000 women and children, some as young as 4 years old, gave their lives in these 3 acts of Johar. This was not a sudden act of despair, it was a solemn ritual of courage. The women bathed, dressed in their finest attire, and prayed for strength before stepping into the flames together. Even today, this site is remembered with reverence. A sacred lamp is lit every year to honor their sacrifice. And descendants of the royal families of Rajasthan, including those of Maharana Pratap, gather here to offer prayers. The flame is meant not only to honor their courage, but also to give peace to the 36,000 souls who chose death over dishonor. The remains of the Johar Gate and the Kuldevi temple still stand in ruins nearby, silent witnesses to a chapter of Chittorgarh's history that is both heartbreaking and heroic. It is a reminder that the story of this fort is not just about battles and kings, but also about the extraordinary strength and sacrifice of its women. The temple we will be seeing here is the Samadhishwara temple. It is dedicated to Shiva, who is called Samadhishwara, that is, Lord of Samadhi. Epigraphic evidence suggests that the temple was constructed in the 11th century and was further restored in the 13th and the 15th centuries. One gets a feeling that the Samadhishwara temple is a mosaic of different architectural and artistic styles spanning different centuries. The temple is more or less built according to the Nagara style of architecture. It has 3 entrance porches that lead into the main hall. There is an antechamber followed by the Garbhagriha in the east, where the 3-headed Shiva idol is located. An open pavilion supported by 4 exquisitely carved pillars stands opposite to the western entrance porch. The faithful Nandi can be seen here facing his beloved master, Lord Shiva. The Shikara of the Samadhishwara temple rises to the skies above the Garbhagriha in empyrean glory. It is a composite Shikara made up of levels of smaller Shikara that are termed as Uru Shringas. The outer walls have beautiful and elaborate carvings at different levels. Scenes from everyday life, celebrations, and processions, scenes of hunting can be seen depicted on the walls. In addition, divine beings and mythical creatures are also depicted. It is also interesting to note the presence of symbology of Jainism in these carvings. As we walk deeper into the great fort of Chittorgarh, the third most important aspect comes alive before our eyes. The temples and ruins scattered across its vast expanse. Some temples still stand tall, their intricate carvings and majestic spires reminding us of the glory of Rajput architecture. Others, though broken and in ruins, silently whisper stories of the past. These shattered stones are not just remnants of buildings, but echoes of a history filled with both beauty and sorrow. They tell us of a time when this fort was a place of devotion, culture, and peace, and of the cruel invasions that left behind scars on its soul. Standing here, no words are truly enough to capture that history. Yet, these ruins speak for themselves, reminding us of the courage, resilience, and sacrifice of the people who once lived here. It is upon us, the generations that follow, to respect and salute the men and women of India who gave their lives, ensuring that their spirit and our future would live on forever. The palace we can see here is the summer palace of Rani Padmini, also known as Jal Mahal. Only for 4 months, the king and queen used to stay here, but for the rest of the year, they used to stay at the Kumbh Palace. This palace was only made for one queen, which was Rani Padmini. The summer palace was only accessible via boat. The fourth most important part of Chittorgarh Fort is right where we are standing, the mighty Suraj Pole, the main gate of the fort. This grand entrance was one of 7 such gates that once protected Chittor. Sadly, many of them were destroyed during Alauddin Khilji's invasion in 1303. As we look out into the distance, the fields stretching before us were once the battlegrounds of Chittorgarh. Surrounded by the rugged Aravalli mountain range, this very land witnessed 27 fierce battles between the invaders and the brave Rajput kings. Today, these grounds have been transformed into farmland. They belong to the Mewar Trust, which has been given to the local tribal community, descendants of those who once supported Maharana Pratap in his fight for freedom. Notice the heavy iron spikes still embedded in the gates of Suraj Pole. These were designed to stop enemy war elephants from breaking through the entrance, an ingenious defense strategy of the Rajputs. Even beyond warfare, Chittorgarh carries forward its cultural legacy. The local people here continue the age-old tradition of block printing on cloth, an art form that remains vibrant and famous even today. This gate, these fields, and this art together remind us that Chittorgarh was not only a fortress of war, but also a cradle of heritage, courage, and living culture. Lastly, before we leave, let us pause at the magnificent Kirti Stambh, or the Tower of Fame, This Jain monument reminds us of the deep bond between the Jain community and the Rajput kings of Chittorgarh. The Jains served as trusted accountants and loyal supporters of the kingdom through centuries. Built in the late 12th century by the merchant Jija Bhagirwala during the reign of Raval Kumar Singh, the tower rises gracefully in 7 stories, reaching nearly 22 meters high from its broad stone base. Designed in the elegant Solanki style, it is dedicated to Rishabha, the very first Tirthankara of Jainism. Standing beside it is the Mahavir Jain temple, completing this sacred space. Together, they remind us that Chittorgarh was not only a fortress of warriors, but also a seat of faith, art, and devotion that continues to inspire even today. Chittorgarh Fort is not just a fortress of stones and walls. It is a living chronicle of courage, sacrifice, and resilience. Every tower, temple, and gateway echoes with the spirit of warriors who defend their honor and the rulers who chose pride over surrender. From the towering Vijay Stambh to the sacred temples and palaces, the fort stands as a timeless reminder of Rajasthan's glorious past. More than a monument, it is a symbol of India's indomitable spirit, its rich heritage, and its eternal pride. Chittorgarh tells the world that the soul of India can never be conquered. This concludes the Rajasthan series. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please share and subscribe to the channel if you like this video. Thank you and Jai Bharat.